You're watching TVC News at 1. We begin here in Lagos, where a suspended police officer, Drambe Vardy, who was charged with shooting dead a Lagos-based lawyer, Bolanle Raheem, has been sentenced to death by hanging. Justice Ibironke Harrison, sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square Annex Division of the Lagos State High Court, said his defense that he didn't shoot the deceased has no leg to stand on. He was found guilty on the strength of the witnesses of the prosecution, who, according to the court, gave overwhelming evidence against the suspended officer. Mr. Vardy was arraigned on the 16th of January on the count charge of murder, but he pleaded not guilty. The court granted accelerated hearing on the case. And the Lagos state government alleged that the defendant shot Mrs. Raheem in the chest at Ajah roundabout on Lekki Expressway. Well, let's bring you more updates on that story. TVC News legal correspondent Kemi Foladiemi joins me live on the news. Kemi, tell us more about what happened in court today.
Hello, Nifemi, and we're still here in the court premises, the Lagos State High Court. Justice Ibironke Harrison, who heard the case of the accused police officer Drambe Vardy, who is now a convict. Well, the court dissected all the evidence that had been garnered in the case between the prosecution, who had tendered 11 witnesses and a host of relevant evidence, documentary and otherwise, to buttress its case that ASP Vardy indeed shot and killed the deceased. Of course, he had given a denial. He was the only witness in the case. He had given a denial that it wasn't him that fired, and that the shots that all the major eyewitnesses had heard on that day were shots. All the corroborating evidence or the circumstantial evidence tendered by the witnesses, especially the family members of the deceased and his supporting officers, because he was even the team lead at that checkpoint, and he was the team lead. Even his colleagues had testified in the favor of the prosecution, and the court found that the only person that could have fired was him, and that the only person that could have fired was him, and that he indeed shot and killed her. I have here with me Counsel representing the family of the Raheems. Of course, Mr. Raheem had been in court, had been following the case of the murder of his wife. It happened in his presence, after all. It was a Christmas day. The family was going for an outing. So the family has a lawyer here who is now with me, Barrister Olakiton Bolu Agbaje, with me.
Yes, thank you, Kemi.
What is your reaction to this judgment?
Okay, so my reaction to this judgment is, for me, I am quite pleased, because I can see that justice has been served. Why? The judgment of this honorable court would always and forever remain a well-considered one. Honorable Justice Harrison dissected every piece of evidence brought in by the prosecution and the defense. And at the end of the day, the judgment of the Honorable Court has been to the effect that the defendant is guilty of the offense of murder.
What stood out for you in the judgment?
Okay, so what stood out for me in the judgment was the fact that the consideration of the offense of murder for the defendant was what the verdict of the court, and not manslaughter. Because at the end of the day, the courts looked at the ingredients of the crime and said that the defendant's action and his intent corroborated all to the effect that he committed a murder, the murder of the deceased, unfortunately.
And to what extent is the family satisfied, at the outcome of this judgment?
Okay, from the family standpoint. From the family standpoint, at the end of the day, we need to realize that their loved one, Mrs. Bolanle Raheem, a mother, a wife, someone that her family looked up to and depended on, is no more. She was taken away on the 25th of December 2022, a day that is to be celebrated. And I can only imagine whenever it's Christmas Day, they will always remember that she is no more. However, they also know that the person that took her away untimely would not be released back into society. He is guilty of the offense of murder, and he has been convicted accordingly. Therefore, they are satisfied.
The prosecution called 11 witnesses, the pathologist and several officers who were colleagues of ASP Drambi Vandi. What did you make, observing the trial, what did you make of the quality of evidence that they proffered and how the judge dissected?
Okay, so the quality of the evidence that they proffered is the quality of the evidence given by the colleagues of Drambi Vandi is that at the end of the day, Drambi Vandi was actually at the right-hand position when the car came in. And that is the same position where the gunshots came into the vehicle. And we have to say that for the evidence garnered all true and true, the judgment of the court was properly directed towards the fact that Drambi Vandi committed this offense. And I can say that it was properly dissected by Honorable Justice Harrison.
Thank you very much for speaking with us at TVC News. So Nifemi, there you have it. ASP Drambi Vandi is to die by hanging. The judge, handed down this judgment a few moments ago. We got reactions from the defense counsel, who says that they will study the judgment in its entirety and then give informed advice to their client as to the next step. But he insists, that's the defense counsel insists, that he was convinced to pursue this case in defense of his client and that he will believe his own side of the story and will continue to be on his side in getting justice in his own words. So he says he still should be given the benefit of the doubt, but as we see now, the Court of First Instance here at the Lagos High Court has found ASP Drambi Vandi guilty of the one count of murder, of the murder of Bolanle Raheem.
Kemi Adeyemo live for us at the court where Drambi Vandi has just been sentenced to death by hanging in the killing of Lagos lawyer Bolanle Raheem.